How we doing today, guys? It's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And ladies and gentlemen, for the past about year and a half to 2 years, I have been actually praising what DeMeo has been saying about the new X-Men, the animated series, the 97 version, right? They called it not a rebirth. It wasn't a reborn. They said it was simply a continuation of the series. It was a resurgence. They were bringing it back. It was a revival. Ladies and gentlemen, they were going to continue on. DeMeo talked about how much he had such a great love for the original animated series. He was in talks with the people that originally created the series, and I was hopeful. I was like, we're going to get one decent, maybe one possibly decent Marvel product. We might get one. We might get one in this animated series, off in this little dark corner of what has become Disney Marvel. We might actually get something good. We might actually get a little bit of good of something. And boys and girls, the initial trailer, it looked great. We were just watching it the other day. It looked great. It looked wonderful. I was excited for it. Yeah, the animation ain't all that great. It's definitely not anywhere near close to as good as we got back in the 90s, but at least it looked like they were trying, right? And we saw the fact that, of course, Cyclops is now leader of the X-Men. I honestly completely and totally expected it to be Storm. So I was pleasantly surprised by that fact. And of course, it's perfectly okay to go with Storm because of all the comic books and everything else. There's a precedent for it, right? But for them to come out and say yes and get that lovely line from Cyclops going, my X-Men to me. I'm like, yeah, all right, Luke. That's like, it's like Captain America's freaking Avengers Assemble kind of moment. I'm like, yes, he's the one in charge. This is going to be good. This is going to be great. This is going to be wonderful. But boys and girls, you know what one of my favorite characters was from the original X-Men, the animated series? That was Morph, right? Morph was one of my favorite characters. I really enjoyed Morph. I thought his idea was great. His sacrifice right there in the very first story, trying to stop, trying to make it sure Wolverine didn't get hit, him getting shot right in the chest. We didn't get to see him forever. He kind of came back as a villain. It was kind of back and forth for a while. And I know that's not accurate to the comic books. I know he was a villain in the comic books. I don't care. I loved him in the animated series. I loved the idea of his powers. I loved all of that kind of stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you exactly what they have done to my boy Morph. And ladies and gentlemen, I am not happy about this. I am not happy about this at all, because for about, I don't know, probably the last year and a half, 2 years, whenever people brought up the X-Men, the X-Men 97, I said, hey, DeMeo's saying all the right things, right? Just like we saw with the Avatar, they were saying all the right things. And guess what? We got rewarded, well, not with Avatar, but with One Piece, right? They were saying all the right things, and we got rewarded with a great One Piece show. And I know now some people have critics of it, but I loved it. You know what I mean? It got me into watching the anime, which I think is the goal it should be for any live action, right? To get you to go back and watch the original. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, they have screwed up my boy Morph, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it at all, because I'm so sick of this agenda-driven bullshit getting interjected into original and classic characters. I get it. Morph was a villain. But for those of us that grew up, our first introduction to the X-Men was the animated series back in the day on Fox Kids. This is an issue with this. And I've got a real issue with this. So as you can see here, from Bounding into Comics, X-Men 97 showrunner confirms Disney Plus series will portray Morph as non-binary. Non-binary. Morph has been and always will be a man. Okay? Every time you saw him change into somebody else and then change back, who did we always see Morph revert back into? Yeah, this guy right here, his traditional self, right? Who was born a man, who was born a boy, born male, and we're always acted like that. Oh, you want to make the argument? Oh, maybe, he's morphed into female sometimes, so maybe he likes, you ended up sniffing a little bit, so maybe he feels like he's maybe a little more feminine. No, fuck that and fuck that shit. Morph has always been and always will be this. So we're going to check out this article from Bounding into Comics. We're going to go off on this. We're going to go into this, and we're going to get into it, because I am extremely frustrated and upset by this, because I have spent my time, my effort defending DeMeo, and now they turn around and do this bullshit. Could you say that it was Disney's influence? Absolutely. Could you say that, guess what? Hey, guess what, nerd? You were wrong. Right. I'll gladly admit that. At the exact same time, is this even going to come up in the show? I don't know. But we're going to watch it, and we're going to find out. And we're going to tell you guys exactly whether or not this abomination is just as bad as what we all expected it to be, or whether or not it's actually worth you listen. But for right now, it's looking like it's going towards the abomination way. So we're going to check out this article from Bounding into Comics. We're going to get into all the juicy details. We're going to tell you exactly what is going on with this. But before we do, If you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share it with all your friends, and subscribe if you have not already. And if you do, if you can, particularly if you enjoy my rants, please check out the links in the description down below. There are great ways to help support the channel financially. But if you can't, make sure you hit that like button, share it out with all your friends, and hit that notification bell so you know when all of this stuff goes live, whether we're live streaming or whether we're making videos. So let's get into this right now because I'm really angry and I'm kind of shaken and I kind of really want to get into this. Because at the first, I thought this might be overblown. When I saw people's videos on this yesterday, I honestly thought this might be overblown. Guess what? I was wrong. It's not overblown at all. In the first confirmed change being made to the fan favorite incarnation of Marvel's Merry Band of Mutants, X-Men 97 showrunner Bio DeMaio has revealed that unlike the original series, the upcoming revival will portray the mutant shapeshifter Morph as a non-binary individual. My representation! This change was first confirmed by DeMaio during a series-centric interview given to Empire magazine for their April 2024 issue. So this hasn't even been published yet, but hey, guess what? We get previews. Providing brief teasers into the approach the series took in writing each of the series' principal mutant castmates. When it comes to Morph, the showrunner confirmed to the Empire, as recapped by the outlet's Helen O'Hara, that this is a lighter take on the character, who is non-binary, as an interesting budding relationship with Wolverine. Yeah, he tried to save Wolverine's life back in the original series. So here it is right here. And I know it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of small, but I'm going to read this off to you. This is where it comes from. Martin's Mutants Return to 2D. Morph, number 7 right here on the list. The death of the shapeshifter Morph in the original animated series, it didn't stick, obviously, was shocking for young viewers, and it stuck with DeMaio. He really set the stakes, he says, and he had a very interesting relationship with the team because of the trauma. This is a lighter take on the character who is non-binary. Full stop. I mean, it's right fucking there in the description. This is from DeMaio. And has an interesting buddy relationship with Wolverine. The character's past with Mr. Sinister, the show's villain, could also come into play. So what are you going to do? Are we going to turn into, so instead of Wolverine constantly simping for Jean Grey and it causing constant tension between him and Cyclops, now what we're going to have, Wolverine's just going to wake up and go, man, Morph, I love you, dude. I'm so glad. I've loved you for a long time, and I just never knew what to say about it. I never knew what to do about it. Ooh, can you turn into Jean Grey for me? That'd be great. That'd be great. What the, this is where this shit leads to. This is where, when they say buddy relationship, this is how all these people fucking think. People can't just be friends in Hollywood anymore. Everybody's got to be fucking. Like, it's so insane. It is so ridiculous. I'm so tired of this shit. Leave my Morph alone. Leave my Morph alone. Unsurprisingly, this presents a significant change to the character of Morph, both as originally portrayed in the original Marvel comics and in the original X-Men the animated series. You think? No shit. Bond Kevin Sidney, the mutant known as Morph, as his name implies, possessed the mutant gift of cellular level shapeshifting. Though depicted as a through-and-through villain in his comic book form, like we talked about earlier, on the small screen, Morph was initially introduced as a proper member of the X-Men into the team's pilot episode, Night of the Sentinels. Once again, where he was trying to stop Wolverine from getting shot and literally ends up getting blasted in his chest by himself. They end up having to leave him behind. It becomes a huge issue in the story arc with them trying to bring him back into the fold because they left him behind. They thought he was dead, and if they would have tried to get him, they would have all killed him. It was a huge issue between Cyclops and Wolverine because Wolverine was pissed because it was Cyclops' call to leave him behind, and Wolverine never wanted to leave him behind. It was a huge issue. It was a huge issue. So don't tell me I don't know about Morph in the animated series. Don't tell me I can't repeat that shit to you all day long. This is why I have an issue with this. This is basically on par as what they did to Master Cheeks in that stupid Paramount bullshit and name only Halo series. This is how much this frustrates me because I loved Morph as a character. I loved his redemption arc. I loved all of it. You understand that. You understand when your friends, when you see, you think your friends betray you. You understand how hard that can be to trust again. You understand how easy it was for Sinister to take over his mind. You get all of that. That's storytelling you don't get in the modern era anymore. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And the fact that DeMaio wants to go and shit all over that by making him non-binary because of some modern bullshit. Fuck you, DeMaio. You know what? And I'll give you a fair shot. If your show's okay and this shit never fucking comes up, if you never go Wolverine and fucking Morph fucking in the back room of the house, then I'll leave it as marketing. just like the D&D shit was marketing. I will leave it at that. But the fact that you ever put this in there shows you never wanted to be true to the characters. Or maybe you did want to be true to the characters, but you saw one of them, just one of them, that you could play with a little bit to fit the modern agenda, to give Disney, because we know they have quotas, Disney their quota on the flesh for having a non-binary character. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to forgive you for it, because Morph was my boy, and I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about this in the least. Though depicted as a through-and-through villain in his comic book form, on the small screen, Morph was initially introduced as a proper member of the X-Men in the team's pilot episode, Night of the Sentinels, before being killed in that same episode by a surprise attack carried out by a group of Sentinels. But in typical comic book fashion, Morph's death proves to be anything but, as the mutant is later revealed to not only been rescued from the attack by none other than Mr. Sinister, but also had been evil personality planted within him by the villain. Of course, we talked about that. Following a brief stint as a mind-controlled pawn of the leather-clad Englishman, Morph is eventually rescued by his former teammates and brought back into the X-fold, even going to play a major role in the eventual destruction of the Sentinel-producing Master Mold. Absolutely. And of course, through his adventures both in print and animation, Morph has never been portrayed as considering himself non-binary. Doesn't matter if he's a villain, doesn't matter if we're talking about the animated series. No, he has never, ever been portrayed like that. Check your source material, DeMeo. While his ability does allow him to shift into any form, including that of a woman, at the biological level, he always defaulted to a standard appearance as a relatively nondescript human male. Exactly. Alas, with his hand fit, this change is certainly disappointing and cannot be said that it is wholly unexpected. As after all, as stated by DeMeo during a 23 interview, Marvel livestream event recording the series, his goal was to just get this right and really drill down to what I think the X-Men are always going to be about, which is just, we talk about the dream is social acceptance and it's social justice. I mean, fair enough. I didn't see that quote from him, but it's one of those things. It's like, this is what happens. Ultimately, how much of a spotlight Marvel will put on Morph's newfound gender identity remains to be seen when X-Men 97 slashes its way on a Disney Plus on March 20th. Exactly. And that is my point, because it is a sad state of affairs that we currently live in Hollywood, where checkboxing fucking matters to these people, right? So are we ever going to see Morph's mention of being non-binary in the show? Maybe not. Maybe not. But it could be. It could be a forefront. Like I said, it could be our worst fears come to risen. It could be our worst fears come to fruition, right? We end up seeing a fucking gay relationship between Morph and fucking Wolverine with the whole buddy thing that he was talking about earlier, right? No. Morph's his brother, all right? Morph is family to Wolverine. That's why he was so upset with Cyclops. That's why he was so pissed off. It's not because he wanted to fuck him. You sick, twisted bastards out there in Hollywood. And you know what? Like I said, maybe this is just a Mayo checking a box. I don't know. It could be. Maybe it was the one character he thought he could get away with that and none of the fans would notice. And he would make the Disney fucking overlords happy. I don't know. But guess what, DeMeo? The one fan out there, the one guy on this side of things, out there giving you a shot, giving you a chance, is pissed the fuck off at you because you pulled this bullshit with a character you probably didn't think a lot of people cared about. Well, guess what? This nerd fucking did. And the fact that you did this shit pisses me off. If this shit shows up once on screen as any more than a passing fucking joke, I am going to roast you until kingdom fucking come, brother. I promise you that. Fuck this. Fuck the Mayo. Fuck Disney. Fuck modern Hollywood. And fuck Disney Marvel. Because that's exactly what this shit is. Morph has been and always will be a straight white male. And I'm sorry, modern Hollywood, you can't fucking handle that. Eat my ass over it. But hey, boys and girls, that's just my common sense take. Do you think I might have been gone a little too far? Do you think maybe my emotions might be a little too strong? Well, guess what? In the modern era, it's all about how you feel. And this is how I feel about what DeMeo has done to my boy Morph. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button, especially if you enjoy my rants. Share it around with all your friends and subscribe if you have not already. This is Jesse, the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. Enjoy the credits, and thanks for watching.